Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another show of Northwest Georgia Cryptics. I'm Rick Weaver, and this is Blake Duckworth, my co-host. And tonight we have Mr. Nathaniel. Help me out here, Blake.
You got it, Ricky.
Okay, Mr. Nathaniel. I'm going to pronounce it Theriaque. With Theriaque. I'm sorry. With East Tennessee Bigfoot Patrol. Nathaniel's a real nice guy. He's going to be on with us tonight discussing what got him into the Bigfoot and cryptic world. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Mr. Nathaniel on. Hello, Nathaniel.
What's up, guys?
Hey, welcome to the show, man. Hey, the floor is yours, man. Just go on and tell our audience a little about yourself, what got you into the Bigfoot world, and it's yours. Go ahead, man.
Absolutely. So my name's Nathaniel. I'm from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I am the creator of East Tennessee Bigfoot Patrol, and I'm also the creator, owner, and operator of U.S. Bigfoot Patrol. We take everyday civilian vehicles and turn them into Bigfoot Patrol and research vehicles to not only bring promotion and awareness to the species, but also to bring entertainment and enjoyment to other people. I created the first car in March of 2020, East Tennessee Bigfoot Patrol. It's a 2004 retired Missouri State Trooper Crown Vic. In the middle of August, a good friend of mine reached out to me and asked if I would allow him to decal his car, which was also a Crown Vic at the time, just like mine. I said, sure, let me help you out with it. We then created the U.S. Bigfoot Patrol Company from that. We are now at 20 members across 10 U.S. states, and we are adding new members every day. I just designed our last vehicle 2 weeks ago.
All right, Nathan, let me ask you this. In order for someone to become a member of your patrol, is there any fees associated with this, or how do you go about doing this?
At this time, no, we do not have any fees. That's one of the reasons why we believe we got so many members as quickly as we did. It is definitely something that we are looking into for the future of the existence of the company and for us to grow as a legitimate company, as a legitimate business. Our best option at this moment is we will probably become a nonprofit organization because I work with a bunch of other Bigfoot groups and guys who are really into looking for Bigfoot and the research side of things, while I'm more on the business and the creativity side of things. And at that point, we will bring on a membership fee of some sort.
All right. Blake,
Now, as far as the vehicles, I mean, do you mainly do vehicles for, is it more of a nostalgia thing, or do you actually do a lot of vehicles for researchers?
At the very beginning, we were mostly nostalgia. We are seeing now more toward now that we've built the pace and we've gotten ourselves out there and we've gotten in contact with people who do this seriously, we are picking up more people who are actively using their vehicles as Bigfoot research cars. The main reason why we decal the cars is obviously to bring smiles to people's faces. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I get stopped, I get honked, I get people smiling and driving by and taking photos. It's so popular now that my friends will like send me messages and they're like, yo, dude, you just showed up on my Facebook feed. Someone was up in your area and they happened to see one of your cars. Because at the end of the day, that really is what it is for me. It's about bringing those smiles to people's faces. And then if we can bring awareness to the species and the cryptid side of things, I'm absolutely all for that. It doesn't hurt anybody.
And you live in a great area for that also. I mean, that's one good thing about living where you live and having a vehicle like that. I mean, not only is it a tourist destination, so a lot of people see it, but, it also, you're in a great area for Bigfoot also.
Yeah, I'm legit right off the strip of Pigeon Forge. I can get to Gatlinburg in legit 3 minutes. It's just down the street from where I live. So it ended up working out great that this happens to be the place that I'm lucky enough to call my home. I have the Smoky Mountain National Park in my backyard, and I also have the tourist town where this car kind of does all the marketing for itself. All I have to do is drive it, and it's my daily driver, so it gets that done a lot.
Now, just a question. You may not have no answer to it, but since you live up there, I mean, I know Cades Cove has some reputation for some strange things that happen over there. Whether it be, I've heard about lights in the woods, in the sky, and I've heard of people hearing howls and having some type of interaction or experience over in that area. I mean, do you have any stories that you've heard about Cades Cove?
I have heard a lot of stories about Cades Cove of people going up there and seeing things, and especially you go up there later at night and more things start to come out and crawl around. Personally, I don't have any good stories from it, but I have had people come up to me and been like, "Hey, I've been in Cades Cove before, and I saw Bigfoot, or I saw UFOs. There's a lot of UFO sightings up there as well." And just all sorts of things. People saying they've heard howls and knocks and things that you can't distinctively say are Bigfoot, but they will 100% convince you and are confident that that's what they believe.
There are a couple YouTubers that have done some pretty big YouTubers as far as like paranormal and investigators and stuff like that. They're actually one that guy called a pretty compelling howl up there. I mean, it was real close to him. I mean, they were coyotes mixed in with it after the initial howl, which that's something that is pretty common when you have an actual Bigfoot howl. Is the cryptic, whatever you want to call it, normally will howl first, and coyotes will react to that. And that's kind of what happened in his video. Is, I mean, very distinct first howl, then you could tell the coyotes were after it. Yeah, I thought it was pretty neat, and I know a lot of those. I know it's pretty haunted. A lot of those places over in Cades Cove got a reputation to be haunted also.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I mean, do you see yourself ever trying to get more into the investigating side of any type of cryptic or paranormal?
Yeah, we've definitely, me and the members in my group have definitely talked about that and doing some things like that. I'm good friends and very lucky enough to have Carl Smotherman, who is the owner of Ghost Hunters of Tennessee. He's an amazing friend of mine. I've known him for several years. He does a lot of paranormal stuff, obviously that being his job. We've talked about doing some stuff together. I have some guys who are, they're getting into being well known in the Bigfoot community. They know a lot of people, and they're starting to do a lot of things in that group. We've definitely thrown around some ideas of going out and starting to do more things like that. It really just comes down to, I am super busy trying to get this off the ground. Once I get this up and running and it kind of does its own thing, it will allow me to get out and do more of those things. Like last year, unfortunately, I only made it to one conference. This year, I have at least 3 planned that I'm going to, and there's a list of others that might get in there. I'm not sure whether we'll make it or not.
Well, and you at least get one in your hometown. So
yeah, Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference. That was a big one for me. Thankfully, we managed to meet up with one of the ladies who works for the event company that puts that on, and we were in discussion last year of possibly having the vehicle on display for the entire conference inside the conference center. We will see if that happens or not. Things always change, but it's definitely something that's in the works.
Definitely be a good opportunity for you.
Yeah.
So is that kind of like your end goal? I mean, I know as far as the business aspect of it, I guess. I mean, I guess it really don't matter to you as long as it, goes in a direction, but would you rather be involved in doing vehicles for actual researchers, or does it really matter to you if it's just somebody that happens to want it, want you to do it? I mean,
To me, it doesn't really matter either way, because for me, at the end of the day, it is a business, and I want it to get to the point to where it can make money. Right now, I'm the only. Thankfully, my members are awesome. They help me out a lot. They always are willing to throw in some money to help us get things done. Like we were talking about doing some sponsorship opportunities, and they're always willing to jump up and help me because I am funding this completely on my own. But at the end of the day, as long as the business survives, thrives, does well, and keeps that good public relationship to where we look positive, not only from the people who see it as kind of satirical, as a joke, as funny, but also from the other side of it, because we work with people in the Bigfoot community, as long as it keeps that respectable end on both sides, I really don't care what direction they want to bring it in. As long as it's done respectfully and they follow my sort of guidelines of what I will and won't allow on vehicles, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right, Nathaniel, I've got a question for you. What does it actually cost to equip a vehicle like yours?
So my personal vehicle, I have over $15,000 into. I have over 32 lights on it. This is the third iteration of graphics on it. It's on a lift. It's got massive tires, off-road lighting. I've put this car at the very extreme end of what we do because I want this to be the showpiece. I want this to be the thing that gets people's attention to reach out to us and to want to do this on their own. On the low end, I can just a graphics package or simple graphics package that I design for my guys ranges anywhere from $100 to $250 at the beginning end. If you want to start adding in emergency lights and things like that, I can spend several grand on a vehicle. But low end, bare minimum, you're looking at about 150 to 250 bucks.
And that's pretty much just logos.
Yeah, and that all ranges depending on what part of the country you live in, who you get to do your graphics. Because the only thing I do is I design everything. I don't make decals. I don't print decals. That's not something I wanted to do. Now down the road, that's something we've talked about as a team, doing everything in-house and allowing us to make money that way. But if you have a decal cutter at home, I'll send you the file and you can print it.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you anything. If you want to chip some money my way for my time, because I do design everything, all but one logo that we actively have on a vehicle right now, I designed.
Okay, now let me ask you this. With equipping one like yours with the lights and all the things that you have on it, is there any special type permits that you have to have, anything of that nature? Or?
That varies from state to state. So in Tennessee, you are legally allowed to have one forward-facing solid white emergency light on the front of your vehicle. That's the law. Now, what we have found is the cops don't give us a hard time as long as they are not red, white, blue.
Some type of emergency.
Anything emergency colored, you're not using them on the roadway unless you're backing up law enforcement. We end up doing that a lot. I just did that 2 days ago. They actually have some buddies who are on the police department. They called me up. They said, hey, we have some debris down in the middle of the road down by your way. Do you care to jump out in the road and move it for us? We're busy on calls. And I'm no problem. I help on traffic stops if they need it. Because I come from a private sector law enforcement background, and I've worked with a bunch of these guys on the business side of before I got into this. I've always told them, you have my number. If you need me, call me and I will help you. That's just how we are. But our loophole, back to the question, for emergency lighting is what we can do is as long as you stick with solid white lights in the front and amber lights in the rear, we can wire everything up to a dual setting when you buy the proper equipment, which I list out and send to you and recommend and everything like that. If you wire it up to a solid mode and then a strobe mode, when we use strobe lights, those are for events, parades, things like that, done on private property or with special permission, where we have the legal ability to use those in that circumstance. And then if you get stopped and they ask what they're for, we flip them over to our solid mode, and it's off-road lighting. That's kind of what we've used as our loophole for decals, because there is no, or for lights, because there is no regulation on off-road lighting. You can put 300 off-road lights on your vehicle, and there's nothing against that.
Yeah.
But I
So
know
we
here-
wire everything up to dual mode, so that way we can do both.
Right. I know here in the state of Georgia, as far as doing lighting on vehicles, we have certain colors that can be used, certain colors that can't. And I'm talking about the lights that the younger generation is running inside their cars, around the bottom of their cars, and all in the grill compartments, rear compartments of the vehicles, whatever. We have uh, we have certain restrictions on light colors that we can use.
Yep. Longest they're not like he was saying, the longest it's not a emergent some type of emergency vehicle color light.
Yeah, and that's why we stick to white and amber. I've been designing vehicles for a long time. We used to just run white all the way around, but we are finding now that states are putting laws into effect where if you have white lighting in the rear, it has to change color when you are stopped on a public roadway. The only reason I have white lighting on the rear of my vehicle is my vehicle was designed before that law was put into effect, and I still keep all my private sector licenses active, so I can still legally run those lights for what I need to do.
Yeah, it's like here in Georgia, red. As long as it's not red, blue, or orange, I do believe, because orange is DOT here. You're pretty much good on any other color. So,
and at the end of the day, I tell everybody, I go, hey, I'm going to design off of my state laws. I don't know what your laws are. At the end of the day, it's your vehicle. It's up to you to know your laws surrounding your area and understand what you can and can't do.
Yeah, it's your responsibility.
Yeah. And we find that cops across the country, as long as you are not using them unlawfully, as long as they are not an emergency color, in quite honesty, they will not give you a hard time about it.
Yeah.
Right. If anyone watching us gets interested in doing something of this, Nathan, how can they contact you as far as being able to get in touch with you to talk to you about doing this?
So we are on a ton of social media sites. We are under U.S. Bigfoot Patrol on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. And then I am under East TN Bigfoot Patrol on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Right, okay. I'm going to put up a couple of pictures here of your vehicles. There's one of them. Man, that's awesome vehicles.
Yeah, that was taken. That is one of my one of my buddies designed that in Grand Theft Auto. That first picture that you threw up is a sponsor of mine. That's Sasquatch Inn in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We actually paid his daughter $20 to stand in that costume when we took that picture. But if anyone ever comes up to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, he is right down from the employee entrance of Dollywood. That is Sasquatch Inn. He now has a giant metal cutout of Sasquatch on the front of his porch of that. There are over 30 Sasquatches and Bigfoots hidden throughout his entire cabin. Everything from paintings to shower curtains to bed lining to the tools you use on the grill are pimped out in Sasquatch. It's an awesome thing to go look at it. He's a great sponsor of mine, and I'm proud to call that guy a good friend. And that's one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken of that car.
Hey, man, that's an awesome vehicle.
That was designed by a good friend of mine in Grand Theft Auto. He's actually talking about designing some more of our cars in the game for me.
Oh, okay.
But those are all of our graphics on that vehicle. He actually took the files and put them up there.
That is awesome. Now, the light bar that's on this car, that is a solid white light bar, correct?
It's way nicer than the one I have on mine.
Hey, man,
makes me kind of jealous.
that is awesome, man. It is. That's an awesome vehicle. Oh, well, let me ask you this now: Are y'all just into Crown Vics, or can someone do this on any type of vehicle?
We design it on every type of vehicle. We started on Crown Vic. I believe we are up to 5 Crown Vics in our fleet. But we have everything from pickup trucks to I just designed a Bronco. We have Ford Fusions. We have Crown Vics. We have We are discussing in the works of doing an ambulance in the near future. I'm really stoked about that if we end up doing this. It will be our mobile store on wheels. We already have some of the graphics designed and kind of decided how we want to do it, but this will be like our ambassador vehicle. If we sponsor a show or something, the guy who will own it for me will drive out to that event. We will have active working lights on it, siren systems on it. It will have a computer system that we are going to design that will actually take active Sasquatch sightings throughout the U.S. and pinpoint them on there. You'll be able to pull up information about those sightings. And we're also going to make it a little store. You can buy our t-shirts in there, our merch in there, stickers in there. It'll just be an all-around awesome vehicle, and we're super excited about that. Hopefully it'll all work out.
All right. Y'all got have your own website?
So we do have a merch website. It is easttnbigfootpatrol.threadless.com. You can find it on all of our other social media websites. It'll link you directly to it. But we sell everything you can imagine. We sell t-shirts, we sell stickers, we sell towels, we sell shower curtains, we sell throw pillows. If we can put Bigfoot on it, we probably have. And then we have over 10 designs on there. So we have our original U.S. Bigfoot Patrol logo. I have my personal East Tennessee Bigfoot Patrol logo on there. We have U.S. Bigfoot Association logo that we created on there. Pretty much every state that I have on my team has their own T-shirt on there of some sort, whether that's our association stickers that we made or created based off of the Police Benevolent Association logo. Or whether it's an actual logo that they have specific to them or their area. We also make special divisions if people are into that for our vehicles, if they're more into the satirical side of things. So we have a SWAT unit, we have a canine unit, we have evidence units, we have forensic investigators, we have public analysis, we have information specialists, and all sorts of things. Those guys have their own specific decals as well.
All right.
So I guess one of the main questions is, what's your opinion on actual Bigfoot?
So I approach Bigfoot from a skeptical kind of perspective. That's why a lot of the times when you hear me talk about Bigfoot, I say people will state or things that make people believe. I approach everything more from a very scientific perspective. So I am open to the idea of UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot, all the cryptids out there, but I come at it from that skeptical perspective. I'm not saying there is a Bigfoot, but I'm also saying there's way too much evidence out there with too many people who have a lot of things on the line to lose who come forward and say they've seen Bigfoot. We've seen politicians in the last couple of years after they've retired come forward and say they've seen Bigfoot. One of the best known instances out there is there were some police officers who stated that they saw Bigfoot while they were actively on the department. Those guys risked their jobs. There's doctors, there's lawyers. I'm saying there's too many coincidences for there not to be something. Whether that something is a Bigfoot, we don't know.
There's something unknown. There's something unknown that science doesn't know about. Pretty much is what you know.
It could be anything.
Yep.
Blake and I both have actually had encounters with the beast, with the man beast, if you want to call it. Myself, back in 1984, I had an encounter on a creek about 10 miles from my home here, and it was a life-changing event for me. I actually saw the creature about 40 yards away. A juvenile, about 5.5, 6 foot tall. Blake and I then in 2011 had an encounter at a cemetery that we go to, that we visit. We've been down there doing paranormal investigations, and Blake actually had a sighting of 3 of the creatures, an adult male, female, and a young juvenile. So I'll let Blake tell you about it.
Yeah, basically, I've always been into the paranormal. Never really. I'm kind of like you. Always. I'm a realist. I mean, I look at the broad spectrum of things. Bigfoot was one of those things I never thought about really. You know what I'm saying? Like, always kind of believed, but I mean, never thought I'd be a person to have an encounter. Basically, the cemetery he's talking about, we'd been going down there paranormal investigating, and we'd had a couple weird things happen that were just kind of unexplainable. Like, we had rocks thrown at us one night, and then we heard a couple howls. Well, we had heard howls more than once, but first time we heard howls, that was kind of what got us to really question what was going on down there. Then, long story short, I was down there with a buddy of mine. We'd been down there. We got down there about 12 o'clock. We stayed all night long. Started walking around the lake because it's down at Alatoona Lake. Started walking around the lake because the lake levelers were down, so you could actually walk around the bank. And we started walking around back in this cove. And basically, long story short, we come up on a family of them pretty much. I guess just the way we came in, it had been raining, the wind was blowing a little bit, and it was blowing away. They towards us, the way the wind was blowing. So I don't know if all I know is what I seen. I mean, my buddy, he actually got fairly close to them, but I mean, from where I seen them, I was probably 150 yards, 100 yards, something like that. So it was a fairly close encounter. I mean, I don't when I tell my story, I don't tell people I seen Bigfoot, but I tell people I seen something that people describe as Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That's all I know. It was something that's not supposed to be in the woods.
Yeah.
So that's
Right, the same one I said 84 a while ago. Actually, it was July of 1981. But when I had my encounter, the creature that I saw, it was fully covered with hair, all except the very facial muzzle. Really, the one thing that caught me about it was crouched over at the edge of the water. Had its and when I first saw it, I thought it was a bear. Had both paws down in the water. And as we got closer to it, it actually stood erect, bipedal, two legs. But when what I thought was paws come up out of the water, it was actually human-looking hands on this creature. And we saw it for probably, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 seconds, maybe a little longer, before it turned and bolted back into the woods. And I'm talking, when I say bolted, this thing, it didn't walk, it bolted, it ran. But it was back into cover just in a matter of seconds. We got the raft stopped, looked the area over, found a couple of footprints, but it was an awesome encounter. And like I say, we've had several encounters since that time, and it's something that I wholeheartedly believe in Bigfoot. I wholeheartedly believe that there is a creature out there that we call Bigfoot. That it is much like the human species.
Yeah, and there's definitely the internet has definitely been a big help and a big hindrance to the community. We've seen a lot of fake sightings come up recently, but there was a really good photo that came out. I saw it probably about 3 weeks ago. You two will probably know the one I'm talking about. It is of a large creature and in fall, and it is walking away through a path of trees. That one is, when it comes to evidence that I've seen, that is probably the most convincing one that I've seen. The best counter argument I thought to it was someone said it kind of looks like a dude wearing a heavy winter coat with a backpack on. And I said, okay, if you look at the top half, I can understand that. But the legs were definitely not, there was no convincing me that those were human legs.
Well, that goes back, to the film back in 1967.
Yeah.
And Robert Patterson, or Roger Patterson, I'm sorry.
Patterson Gibbon film.
Right. And Patty she's been dubbed by everyone in the Bigfoot world. you know, that film has been scrutinized for the last 50 years. People have
If
tried
it's
it,
if
and
it's fake, they went through a lot to fake it.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
you look. That was 1967. Man, you know, in 1967, uh, I don't think there was a person alive that could have made a costume that would have
Look that realistic. That
detail.
yeah,
I'm sorry, Blake.
that looks that realistic. I mean that was a very you can see muscle ridges. So
yeah, that's what I was going to point out is even if you could convince me that there was someone in that time frame who could make a costume that good, you can specifically see shoulder muscles moving.
mhm.
Right. Not only, you know, shoulder muscles, but calf muscle, you know, everything about
Yep.
that picture. And they have slowed the film down. They've sped it up. Like I said, they've scrutinized that film from one
Well,
end to the
especially
other.
now that they've kind of more high definition of the picture. You can really see details of the creature in the high definition versions.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is one of those things. We weren't there, so you know, I really I believe the film is real. But you know, that's just like you were saying. I mean, especially speaking about nowadays. I mean, anything can be faked nowadays.
Yep.
I mean, with technology and Photoshop, and I mean, editing, video editing. I mean,
There's a
anything.
real popular one going around of YouTube looking dead right into a trail cam. You two will probably know the one that I'm talking about.
Right.
Looked very, very convincing at first to a lot of people, and then they came forward and admitted that it was fake.
Yeah, and that's what's so bad about the Bigfoot world. I mean, is you've got honest people that have actually seen something and don't have anything to gain by telling their stories. And most of them don't tell their stories just because of that simple fact. They don't want. They just it's just not worth it to them. I mean, they know what they've seen, so that's all that matters. And most of them just don't want to talk about it anyways. But then you have these people that fake evidence, just like it's the same thing in the paranormal world. And I mean, any
Yeah.
type of anything like this. I mean, they're nowadays it's becoming more faked than real from what
Yeah.
you're seeing on the internet. I mean, you know, stories and everything, that's one thing, as far as, you know, person to person stories, but stuff you see on the internet, I mean, you take it with a grain of salt nowadays. I mean, it's anything's possible. And even if somebody says it's real, I mean, until somebody analyzes the video or, you know, somebody that knows what they're doing and knows how to break down a video that to tell if it's fake or not, I mean, it's anything's real or fake, really. I mean, most of it's fake.
Yeah, it's been the biggest help and the biggest hindrance to the community, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. You know,
That's,
15, 20 years ago, you didn't have to worry about that. But, I mean, now it's
and you know,
basically.
with Northwest Georgia Cryptics, we are a no kill group.
Yep.
That's something, you know, a lot of people, you know, get on the internet and they holler, oh, you know, the only way we're going to actually prove this is if we produce a body for science to take apart. You know, and there's a lot of
And
people out there.
unfortunately, even though I agree with your perspective, I think there is some honesty to that. I think until someone can produce a captive Bigfoot and someone takes it and analyzes everything about it, that people will always say that it's not real. And
Well,
unfortunately, I think that's what it'll take.
and that is 100% true. What Ricky was trying to say is basically, we're not going if we come across
Yep.
one in the woods, we're not going to kill it. If
Yep.
science comes across the body by natural death or, you know, whatever, that's one thing. But, you know, we're not going to go out and hunt them. We do
Yeah.
research in the field, but, you know, if now it's one of those things, if you got put in a situation where you had to defend yourself, that's a totally different story.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know, just to go out and try to kill one, no, because I mean they are actual groups out there that actually that is their main objective is to go out and try to kill one.
Yep.
Now I kind of do believe that we may have had bodies before, you know, whether if it be government cover ups or whatever the reason. I mean, you never know. There are too many stories of supposed bodies being found. So
Yeah.
Well, guys, I know I've talked to a lot of people since I've been into this, and I've been doing this, like I said, since 1981. I got into it back when, everybody, if you'd have walked out and told somebody you saw a Bigfoot, you'd ended up standing in a looting bin in a white coat, uh, maybe tied to your bed or whatever in a rubber room. But, thankfully over the last 10, 12 years, with shows like Finding Bigfoot.
and that's where the internet and everything and TV has helped the Bigfoot world. I mean,
Yep.
it is more accepting if you tell your story nowadays or whatever. I mean, go ahead, Ricky. Sorry.
Even in today's society, you go out and you tell someone that you saw Bigfoot or you believe in Bigfoot, whatever. You still get looks, you get stares. People kind of tend to shy away from you, whatever. But
Not as much as it used to be.
oh no, not as much as it used to be. No, I mean Nathan here is proof to that.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been stopped at the gas station while going to grab me a bite to eat or filling it up with fuel, and people have come up and told me that, or shown me pictures, or told me that they've seen it, or things like that. And that's one of the benefits of the cars and to what we do, is it creates that conversation to people. I don't know how many times someone has taken a photo of my car, sent it to someone, and they've ended up having a conversation about that, which then just opens up people's understanding of the community and what people are all about. And it makes it less taboo to talk about it.
Yeah, so you've had people approach you and kind of tell you personal experiences.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. That would.
I've been stopped hundreds of times since March. My dad will tell you one time, that car gets so much attention. It's ridiculous. My dad was following me from something that we had to go do. I looped around and he got stuck at a red light. He said, "Dude, you almost caused 3 car accidents because people were paying attention to your car and not the road ahead of them."
What about all the kids? Do they all get a kick out of the car? And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
And
are you a
especially
car?
when it-
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Blake.
So are you into cars? Is that kind of what got you into?
Yeah.
Doing.
So I was not that car guy in high school. I was a major nerd. I was on the math team, science club, chess club, big time nerd. And then I got this as my first car when I was 19. And ever since then, I'm the president of the Tennessee Crown Vics. I run a Crown Vic group for the west side of the U.S. I'm actually the only member not on the West Coast that I run. I've been there since day one. I run one all over the country. I run one that's specifically for people who support police and law enforcement that drive these retired cars to continue that on. Once I got it, I bit the bug. I got into the community. I actually created Tennessee Crown Vics because a buddy of mine was like, we worked on some projects together. He is a retired car out of Knoxville, not too far from where I live. And we were both like, hey, man, we're like, there's not a group out there for people with families. He wanted something that he could bring his kids to, his girlfriend to, that everybody could be family. So I was like, so why don't we create it? So we did. We're now at close to 100 members, and it just grows. That's kind of like this thing. I want this to be something that everybody can be involved in. This is something that I have a husband and wife couple who do this together. One car, they work on it together. That's their way. It's a bonding for them. That's something that they do together. I have people with kids who their kids absolutely enjoy getting in that car and driving it around. That's what we want this to be at the end of the day. It's something that everybody can enjoy. Whether you believe in Bigfoot, whether you don't believe in Bigfoot, whether you have a family,
Something
whether
to
you're
bring
single,
people together.
whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Something to bring
It's
people
all
together.
about having fun.
Maybe
Look,
it's,
I'm a car guy. I mean, I'm into car audio. Like I have a, I don't know if you can see it. I've got a wall in my Tahoe. But I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, as far as that aspect goes, it's all about the love and just having fun.
Yeah.
So
about it. Maybe this is something we need to look into doing with Northwest Georgia Cryptics, is creating something of this nature.
Yeah, and I'm actually in talks with I won't name them for reasons, because we haven't decided whether we're going to do this or not. But I'm in talks with an organization on helping design them a car. We've done a concept of a logo. We don't know whether they'll go into building it as a patrol vehicle route, but we are definitely planning on assisting them with a graphics package of some sort. That's what I tell people. A lot of my logos look the same. A lot of what I do looks the same. That's just because I want all my guys to have a universal theme. I designed hundreds of cars throughout the years. I can make a car look like anything.
look, I've been thinking about wrapping my Tahoe. If I end up doing something, I may do so. I may get with you. 'Cause I
Yeah,
think
my
that'd be pretty neat to have my Tahoe done in something like. I mean, not exactly, but as far as the logos and stuff,
Yep.
I mean, kind of use it as advertisement.
Yeah, that's what we were talking to them about. Is I was like, even if we don't go the route that, I mean, obviously, we always love when people join our team, but at the end of the day, we are willing to help out people because one of a lot of things people say is, why don't you charge a fee? Why aren't you making money off of this? Because I had guys who helped me out when I was building my first car. I've had I had a police department give me my cage for free. I got spotlights for free. People were willing to help me out when I was
Yeah.
getting into this. So that's what we do. And that's something else we're looking at doing in the future is also when it becomes an official thing and we do start charging fees and things like that, is doing fundraisers and donations where part of all of our things will go to a charity or an organization or a children's hospital group or something, but to where we can raise funds for people who want to do this but cannot afford to.
Right, and that's awesome.
So basically, it started as a car club kind of deal, and it's turned into a business opportunity.
Yep.
Simplest way to explain it. That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
I wish the best for you. Maybe
Yeah.
one day you be multi-millionaire off of it.
Man, I hope so.
Hey, man,
Right before this call, I just came from my
Most
parents' house
people-
because there's always free food there.
you're smart because most people would think you're crazy for stuff like that, but something that simple is how people get rich all the time. And they're like,
Well,
why didn't I think about that before the next person? I mean,
And like Smoky Mountains is a prime thing for this. The one biggest thing that I was mad about is my transmission went out on my car. I had an issue with the first shop and I missed out on Jeep Fest. Which last year Jeep Fest was so big, the police department stopped traffic for them to all drive down Parkway together to head to a trail. Traffic was blocked for 30 minutes. And that was with them blowing every single red light on the strip.
Wow. Yeah, it's awesome. I've been up there. I used to look to Rod Run up there quite a bit, and it was,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was an awesome time. Do they still do that up there?
you had the
Yep,
good
it
old
is
Rona
one of my
run.
most.
You
People
had the
give me
Rona
crap
run
for this
this year.
living in a tourist town. I absolutely love all of the money and all of the cool cars that come for Rod Run. Living in a tourist town, that's how we make our money. So I love it. Love it. I'm a car guy. Love looking at cool cars. Rod Run is also one of my least favorite weeks out of the year.
Why is that?
So my normal drive to work is 15 minutes.
Right.
Rod Run, the second Rod Run this year, took me an hour and 15 minutes to get to work.
Wow.
Yeah, y'all
On
had
a
the
usual
y'all had
15-minute drive. And I
Yeah,
was
you
glad
guys.
I'm glad I have a lifted Vic with 8 inches of ground clearance, because I do what the Jeepers did. I pulled up on top of a curb to find a parking spot.
Right. Well,
Yeah, you guys had Rona Run up there this year. Y'all had Rona Run, then the actual Rod Run.
Yeah, because the first one was canceled,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
was the biggest
I had some.
joke.
I had some. Yeah, I had some buddies go up there for that one.
I'm friends with a lot of guys who come up here for Rod Run, and like I said, we live in a tourist town. Love when people come to visit. That's how we pay the bills around here.
Yeah, if it wasn't
Boy, do
for
I hate that
tourists,
traffic.
if it wasn't for tourists, I mean, y'all wouldn't have much up there.
I went to the gas station to go get gas during Rod Run. There was legit an hour-long line to get into the pump.
Right.
Did they have the convention center open the second Rod Run this year or no?
I know they were at the parking lot. I don't know if they actually used the convention center, but they were outside in the parking lot. That's when things were still a little bit more heavily regulated than they are now.
Yeah. How's
Well,
life been up there here recently?
Have the coronavirus affected y'all in the area up there?
Oh, it killed us. I just got out of security work 2 months ago, but I was in security during the beginning of the pandemic. I was probably working for the only security company in the United States that was not working.
Wow.
We were out of work I personally was out of work for 2.5 months.
Because of the pandemic.
Yep.
Hmm.
And
So
I didn't do security for like a mom and pop shop. I did security for multi-million-dollar family entertainment, shopping and family entertainment, dinner shows, plazas, hotels, timeshares, and we had 3 guys who stayed working, and that was it.
How many guys were actually employed by the company?
20.
20.
And we had 3 for 2 contracts. Our boss was working one venue, we had a guy working another venue, and we had a guy who would give each of them their 2 days off a week. Those were the only 3 people working.
So I imagine it's gotten a little bit better up there, though.
Yeah, I mean, tourism is definitely still not what it has been.
What it normally is, yeah.
I think we kind of expected that. The only thing like Dollywood is huge up here. A lot of people come to visit Dollywood. They've been capping out their numbers at 15,000. The largest amount of people they had last year before the pandemic was 36,000 people walked through their doors. The largest they've had so far this year is 15,000. And then they cut it off.
Yeah.
And there cannot be more than 10,000 people in the park at any given time.
So major loss in business.
And man, I've been to Dollywood and it be, just arm to arm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the park completely packed.
I used to do subcontract security work for Dollywood. We were the people who checked your bags when you walked in the gate.
Right.
And what they've had to do now is crazy. When we were there, we could process. It took me an average of 10 seconds or less to check somebody into the park.
So
and now you have to go through a screening, a metal detector, and a bag search to get in.
So you're looking at probably 5+ minutes to get in now.
Yep.
And and then the bad part about all this is they're saying that that this is going to hit stronger during our winter months than it was, back in February, March, April, and May when this thing first started. So
yeah, I think it'll. And I'm not a doctor. Shocker, but I think this will become like the new flu. I think they'll come out with a vaccine for it, I
Oh
think
yeah,
it'll have its own. I think it'll have its own season, and
well, they've already vaccine's very close. We'll have a vaccine by the beginning of the year, I would say. They've already started talking about
And I
distributing.
really hope that we do because it's personally it's hit home here. I've got neighbors that live all around me here now that have either had the coronavirus or members of their families had it, and
I had it.
oh, did you?
I just got done with quarantine 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Someone at the place that I work tested positive. I was within 6 feet of them for 15 minutes or longer. I went and had to get tested, and it came back positive. So I had to do a 10-day quarantine at work or at home.
Okay,
But
so
you
how
never
does
showed
that affect you?
symptoms.
The only thing I ever had was it was like allergies. I had a stuffy nose and a sore throat. I had one day where I felt really lethargic, low energy, low appetite, didn't want to do anything. But for the rest of my time, it was stuffy nose, sore throat. That was it.
Well, as I've told Blake and everybody else that I know, uh, I think maybe back in February, early March of this year, that I actually had it myself uh, because there was for like a week and a half here that I run a horrendous fever, uh, constant cough, sweating. 1 minute be freezing to death, next minute be burning up, and it was horrible.
I
And
think a lot of people had it winter of last year, but they didn't know what it
No,
was, or they weren't
exactly.
positive what it was.
Yeah.
So they
right,
were
Yeah.
diagnosing it as pneumonia or double
Back,
pneumonia.
back before China actually even told anybody about the virus.
right.
Yep. Or even if they knew even if they knew it was out, they weren't positive in what the symptoms were,
Yep.
or
Right.
whatever the case may have been.
People
Well, I
coming
know,
in with flu-like symptoms, testing negative for the flu, and all they have to do is tell them go home and get better. Pretty much. I
yeah,
mean,
that was
That's
it.
all they do now. That's what they told me to do. They said go home and quarantine for 10 days.
So basically, no medications, no nothing.
The lady where I went and got tested said that the most that they will do is give you like a vitamin C booster pack from the pharmacy, and just to kind of help your immune system. That's all they can do.
Right.
yeah, I mean, in the experimental drugs that they have that are working, they can't just give to everybody. That's the
No.
thing. I mean, they like all the stuff that was gave to Trump. I mean, that stuff works, but unless you're somebody important or probably got a lot of money, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, well, and I don't want to be a test monkey either.
Yeah, no, especially if you're not sick. I mean,
I do enough.
don't.
I do enough stupid things to myself being a professional sideshow performer, but experimenting with experimental drugs for a disease we don't know a whole lot about is
Yeah.
not
Now,
one of the things I want to do to myself.
if you're on your deathbed and I mean you have nothing to lose, by all means, sure, go ahead, try. I mean, what's the worst that's gonna happen? I mean,
And guys, it's really affected even our research because there's
Yeah,
places that we were going to that for months that we could not even get into these places. Blue Ridge WMA over at LJ, they actually locked that place down for like 4 months that you couldn't even go on the mountain over there. They locked all the trailheads going into the Appalachian Trail, locked all those down. We weren't able to do anything over there. And so, yeah, it's affected everybody.
so I just had a good friend of mine send me a message. He's watching us on YouTube right now. He said, what about a zombie response team?
hey, I've actually seen a few people have done their vehicles in the zombie response
He
vehicle.
has one. It's done really well.
Oh, is it? That's awesome.
I always play zombie scenarios out in my head. I watched too many zombie movies as a kid growing up.
I told him, I said, there are ones that are done really well, there are guns that are done really crappy. I said, but there's hundreds of them. I didn't want a car that there were hundreds of. I wanted to be the first.
Yeah.
Well, you
Nah,
did
you picked.
get home on that one, man.
Yeah, I was about to say you picked probably one of the most original things you could do.
Yeah, like I said, there was only one other one that we could see. And the way that his was set up, it was meant to look like a forestry or a park ranger vehicle. Was done really well, but not the type of look that I wanted. Because I already had my car laid out how I liked it from where I worked in private sector for so long. Now that people are watching us, they keep sending me messages wanting to ask questions.
They can ask questions in the chat.
Yeah, and I haven't even checked them.
Well, you probably should, because they're messaging me.
Okay, yeah. Ricky, you're not doing your job, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What about zombie hunting? Don't have no ideas, Blake. LOL.
Talking about my Tahoe.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I can see. Yes, Thomas, we can see it. Now that Ricky is doing his job.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
Hey, I know him. He's one of my members.
Oh, is he?
He
Ricky.
is also Jed Reeb. He is also a full-time firefighter.
Ricky is supposedly the IT guy, but he's not very great at his job.
Hey, guys, I'm behind here, okay?
Yeah, we actually have, it's either 2 or 3. We have 2 or 3 full-time firefighters who are on our team, and so we actually have 2 of our vehicles. One is actually a fire captain for his department, so his is pimped out as that Crown Vic guy. Yep, he is. I know that one. All my guys are jumping on. I was like, we got a live. You better watch. Like, we got to get these views up.
Hey, guys, being a former volunteer fireman back in the 80s, my heart goes out to the firemen.
Yeah, so we have one who has decaled his vehicle as a fire captain vehicle, and we actually made them, like I talked about earlier, some of our divisions have their own special decals, so that way that's their way of being close with each other, and they have their own little special thing. So we gave Bigfoot a, how are you doing, volunteer guy, trying to get out of the department. Yeah, get that. But we gave Bigfoot a fire hat and a fire axe walking through a forest, and the back of the forest is on fire.
That's awesome.
And so we have a cryptic fire response unit.
I love the idea. Good vision.
Yeah. We got all sorts of stuff. Like I said, we have SWAT, we have, let me pull up the list because I don't even remember. This is what happens when you design too many of these cars. You forget. We have public information, wildlife forensic, species conservation, species education, mapping division, environmental preservation, administration. I think that's it on that list. Then the newest one I want to do is evidence technician, and then special response.
And are all these going to be tied into the Bigfoot thing?
Yes. So for guys who like to keep it satirical, we set, because I can design cars differently. I can design people who eventually want to move into our corporate side. So I have a friend of mine who is 16 years old, and he has a very well done Crown Vic, and he wanted to theme it out. So he is a supervisor for one of ours, and we can theme things out like that. But then I have guys who like it just for fun. So we have a cryptic SWAT division. We have a cryptic canine division. We have Did we freeze?
No.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it like froze on my end. I can't see anything. But as long as you still hear me, that's
Yeah,
good.
we can hear you and see you.
I don't know what happened then. But we have guys who do all sorts of cool themes to their cars, and everything you can imagine we have done to these cars.
I could do mine the coroner.
I have a buddy who has a pickup truck, and he has nicknamed his truck the Big Chungus. So I am trying to convince him to let me do a Bigfoot Patrol Big Chungus division.
Also here says also have the off-road division.
Yep, we do have an off-road division. The one that we designed for that is a blue, like an old style Bronco. And it looks sick. We were super proud of how that one turned out. Hopefully that one goes through. That one is actually the guy who I started this group with. And he is the only member who has been in the longest and does not know what car he is going to build.
Hey, that's just a car guy though.
He has yet to decide what car he wants to build. So far, I have designed a Crown Vic, a Ford Taurus, an SUV, a pickup truck, and a Bronco for this guy. And we still don't know what we're going to do with it.
Well, guys, we're coming up. We're a little over an hour. You want to go ahead and start closing it down, Ricky?
Yeah, Nathan, I just want to thank you, man, for being on the show tonight. You've done some, excuse me, you've done some awesome work with the cars. Keep it up, man, and I hope you make a fortune with it.
Look, and I may really get with you on something because I do a lot of car meets and occasional car shows and stuff, as far as the audio side of things. So it's advertisement.
Blake, here's Christian says we need a paranormal car.
So my buddy Carl Smotherman, who is a member of ours, he is our paranormal specialist on the group. I originally designed a car for him for Ghost Hunters of Tennessee, and then when we created this, he decided he wanted to jump on board with us. So he has a paranormal specialist division for his Bigfoot car.
All right, we have one here. Like to have Blake and Rick add me to Facebook. Just go on to Northwest Georgia Cryptics, hit us up, and we'll be glad to add you as a member.
Yep, yeah, that's a buddy of mine. That's Damon.
I don't have a personal Facebook, so.
Right, we have Northwest Georgia Cryptics. And then, of course, you can go to Ricky Weaver on Facebook, and I'll add you as a friend on it. So, no problem. Nathan, I really hope you've enjoyed being on us with us tonight. We're just a couple of laid-back guys here who actually believe in Bigfoot. And when I came across your deal on your cars the other night and on the Bigfoot Patrol, it caught my attention, and I had to have you on the show. I'm really proud that you came on. I've really enjoyed it. I know Blake has. And anytime, man, that you want to come back and share anything with us, just hit me up, and we'll be glad to have you back on the show.
Yeah. Next time I come to Pigeon Forge, we need to get together.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys are ever up this way, shoot me a message. Ricky has my personal Facebook as well as all my stuff I use for work. Send me a message. I'm always more than happy to meet up with people.
I got, yeah, man. Yeah. I'm normally up there 2 or 3 times a year, so. Yeah,
we actually have a guy who's coming up sometime this month. He hasn't told me what day yet, but he is self-publishing a children's book, and we picked him up as a sponsorship, writing a children's book based off of Bigfoot. It'll be a 5 or 6 part series. Bobby Bigfoot is the name of his book, and he will be at several of the conferences with us that we are going to this year. We are pretty positively we will be at Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference. We are going to attempt to be at the 3rd annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. We are planning to be at the Paranormal Symposium in Johnson City, Tennessee. And we are also planning, if they have it this year, they haven't announced it yet, on going to the Wood Burger Festival in Norton, Virginia. Tennessee and Virginia are our 2 biggest places where we have members. We have 6 currently in Tennessee and 5 in Virginia. So those will probably be where we head out to. And I have a guy out of Texas who will be representing us at the Texas Bigfoot Conference.
Right, awesome. Are you planning on doing that one personally?
I will probably not make it out to Texas, unfortunately. The time that a lot of these conferences happen to take place is when we are super busy here in Pigeon Forge. So I have to plan things accordingly with work. And so Texas is just a little too far of a drive. Virginia works out great for me because of where I'm at in Pigeon Forge. To get to Norton, where the Bigfoot Sanctuary is only 2.5 hours. And to get to where the Virginia conference is only 5.5. And my guys who are up there in Virginia, all of them who have their cars done, we will be meeting up and doing a drive all the way up there to the conference. We've already been in conversation with Daniel over at East Coast Bigfoot Research about doing some stuff with them.
Mr. Benoit?
Yes.
Yeah, Daniel's great guy.
He is.
He sure is. You're talking about your bud doing the Facebook or the Bigfoot book. Hey, tell him about us. Give him my email if
Yep.
he'd like to come on the show. We'd be glad to have him.
I absolutely will.
Ricky's actually an author also. He's actually got a published book. So
yeah, this is the guy's first book, and he decided to self-publish it as well. We will be posting more on our social media pages sometime this month because he's coming up to do some stuff. We also got him a sponsorship deal with Sasquatch Inn, the group that we talked about earlier. And he will be at probably at a couple of the conferences with us this year. We've already been in touch about a few of them that we will be at together, and he will be doing book signings. And based off of what little I've seen, as the book is not finished yet, it will be very good, and I anticipate a lot more from this guy.
Hey, man,
well, bud, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pretty good, I guess, interview you want to call it. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
Hey, man, we really enjoyed it. And like I say, anytime you want to come back on, just hit us up, and we'll be glad to have you back on.
Absolutely.
Blake, you got anything else, bud?
Nope. As always, guys, thank you guys so much. If you wouldn't mind, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notification, leave a comment, hit the like button. Show us all the support you can. We're still a growing group. But without these guys coming on our show, just we wouldn't really have anything to talk about. So we like to thank everybody for coming on to our show.
Nathan, we love your car. Man, we enjoyed this. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the people who viewed us tonight. Like Blake said, hit the like button, share button. Get on here and hey, visit with us each week. We've always got something to talk about. Been good having everybody tonight. This is Rick Weaver, Northwest Georgia Cryptics, and Mr. Blake Duckworth. Thank you, Nathan, for being our guest tonight, and we're out of here.